Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, we check out some analog modeling plugins from NoiseAsh Audio. The guys over at NoiseAsh were nice enough to send over the Neve collection, which is a new product from them where it's a bunch of British console-styled, and let's be honest, they're Neve consoles. And it's analog EQs and saturation, so the two pre-emulations. We're going to go through a bunch of them today. We're not going to dive into each and every one, but what we are going to do is take a listen to, without changing anything on them, how each of these plugins can actually sound different. So let's dive into the DAW and take a listen to the NoiseAsh Neve collection. Okay, so here we are inside of our session, and it looks crazy. If you guys remember, I use light blue for all of my drums, and that's what we're going to be working with today. We're going to be listening to the entire drum kit, but there's no processing going on. It looks like a lot. With all of these plugins that are here, it's the exact same on every single channel. I have my snares going to a bus, so I have everything going in there. Same thing with the kick. And the overheads are summed to a bus as well. So the toms, the hi-hats, which is out of the mix anyway, the overheads, kick, snare, splash, ride, etc., etc., etc. Everything has all of the same plugins, and they're all in the same order, and I've grouped everything together. So as you can see real quick, if I turn on a plugin on one, it turns them on for all of them. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. So first things first, let's take a look at what is available inside the Neve collection. We're going to start off with this. This is the 31102 EQ channel strip. There's no compressor, it's just the preamp section, which is in the top left here, and the EQ for this console. This is a famous Neve console. And we're not going to be messing with the different bands or adding or subtracting any EQ. We're going to do a little saturation later, but I just want to show you all of the different things that are in the collection and how they sound straight out of the box without touching anything. This is the 31102. Up next is a newer kind of thing from Neve. And this is actually a Rupert Neve Designs EQ. This is the 533. So it still has Rupert Neve's name on it, and it is a Neve EQ. Moving on, we now have the Neve 73, based on the 1073. And don't mind the meters kind of dancing around like that. I think it's just because of the switching around between the different plugins. Following up the Neve 73, we have the Neve 81, and as you would probably guess, after the Neve 81 is the Neve 84. These are different iterations of that same era of EQs, the 1073, the 1081, and the 1084. They were all based around the relative same circuitry, but with some differences, whether it be the EQ bands, some of the components within, how many EQ bands, things like that. These are all of our EQs, and then afterwards we have the Neve Pre 31102 and the Neve Pre Trilogy, which is the 73, the 81, and the 84. So in just this one plugin, you have three different sounds of analog style saturation based on the three different preamps that you would get from a 73, an 81, and 84. You understand what's going on. Very quickly, before we go into the audio, if I go back to any one of the EQ channels, you'll notice on the bottom right, you have nuance deviation. This is something we're seeing a lot more in plugins, and this is a variation. If you put this on a stereo channel, you can have different channels from a console, which were all built different, and because they were all built at different times, they reacted differently. And maybe what is here at 4.8K on the dial is closer to something like 4.6 or maybe a little bit closer to 5K. Those different nuances, and that's a bit drastic, but those different nuances you can do in this plugin by randomizing your channels or selecting your favorites. It will shift where the bell is and the shape of the bell, but maybe that's something that you want because you want that analog character. That's something that they've modeled within these plugins. Okay, we've talked about all of the different plugins that are available. Now let's get into the audio. Here is our raw, rough balanced drums. There's nothing else going on. There's no bus processing. There's no drum bus processing. There's no samples. There's nothing. This is our raw drums with a very quick balance. Okay, that's our raw drums. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let the loop go over a bunch of times, and each time it goes through, I'm gonna change which plugins we're listening to. And every once in a while, I am gonna go back to the raw drum sounds. This way you just have a comparison. So we're gonna start it again, and I'm gonna let the loop go raw first, then we'll jump into the 31-102, and we'll go from there. So you can hear each of the different EQs do have their own different characteristics, some more subtle than the last, or some very exaggerated. For instance, the 73 seems really exaggerated to me, but not in a bad way. When I go back to the Need 73 EQ and channel, it's adding a lot of harmonics that I like, and it's already giving me kind of the shape of drums and almost like a polished sound. Not fully, and we haven't done anything. We haven't messed with the pre-gain. It is on. We've done no EQ changes. It's just the sound of an analog channel. And remember, all of the channels are all sharing channel 1. We haven't changed any of the nuances between all of the different plugins. This is stock when you pull them up and load them in. So we've done nothing between all of the different ones to create some variance, but the characteristic is certainly there. Okay, I've done something a little different now. I've taken the Need pre-trilogy in the 73 module and I've put it on my drum bus. Now we're gonna listen to the different kinds of saturation you can get by really driving this thing. And actually what I'm gonna do is flick on the drive on and off first, and then we'll kind of push with the levels and see what kind of saturation we can get with this plugin. We're gonna let it loop around, so take a listen. So there you go. There's the 3 different models built into the pre-trilogy, and they again have different levels of saturation, different areas where they're saturating maybe a little bit more or a little bit less. So you have a lot of different flavors available to you within just one plugin. But this is the collection we're talking about. You can go ahead and create your own custom Neve style console. Maybe you like a 1073 on your kick, but you prefer a 1084 on your snares, and maybe the 533 on your overheads. The sky is the limit with this much flavor in a few plugins. Let's go over some of the other features within these plugins too. Up here, you do have your preset selector, so you can go ahead and grab any of the factory presets that are here or create your own and save them in. Next to that is the information button, telling you a little bit more about the plugin, the version, and the guys that made it over at NoiseAsh. And then last but not least is your settings. In here, it shows you that you can resize this plugin, turn on or off oversampling, and see if there's any updates. Maybe there was a bug somewhere and somebody called it out, and there's just been some updates. You can check for updates right in the plugin, which is extraordinarily handy. Instead of having to go to the website, see which one is out, check which one you have, it's handy to have it right in here. So thanks for that, guys. Okay, so I very quickly have thrown together a super rough mix only using the Need 73 on my kick, snare, and overheads. Here's a quick before and after, and I am going to level match these. When I was messing around, I noticed that it got much louder because, you know, things happen. You're just adding EQ, so of course things are louder. I will level match them for you guys so that you have a very clear comparison of the raw tracks versus some with just a little bit of EQ on them. So there you go. That is the Need collection from the friends over at NoiseAsh Audio. I want to thank them for sending these over so that I could show them to you guys. There is some really great analog characteristics and vibes coming from all of these plugins. I hope that this video has helped you kind of hone in on which ones you liked, if you're even interested in this kind of thing, to help bring your mixes up and add some of that classic analog style to your mixes. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. For booking information, visit timflansbaum.com. And if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.